I'm John,
I'm Dustin.
And I'm Eric.
and we're just three dudes who live in suburbia, who like drinking burbia or bourbon,
Oh,
as I like
wow.
to call it. I know it's terrible. But yeah, we
Excellent.
get together and we talk about life. We talk about our families, friends, what bourbon we're drinking, and we just go through life together and sometimes talk about it and live it out on this podcast. So,
Sometimes it gets
without
uploaded to
further,
the internet.
so yeah,
Sometimes it
occasionally.
doesn't.
So first, we start out with a little segment we like to call the life update. So
Mm,
Dustin,
mm.
update us.
And can I chime in, Dustin, and say, feel free to tell us what you're drinking tonight. I know bourbon's not the end all be all of our discussions, but we do like to share what we might have poured for the listening audience to perhaps get some ideas or to wet their whistle, for lack of a better term.
I am drinking. I just forgot what it's called. It's the horse one, John. What's it called? Pinhook. I'm drinking Pinhook. 53.7 proof. Wait, no, 50. I don't remember. But it's the straight bourbon whiskey. It's 6 year. It's good. I like it. You want to be careful with it because it's like 100, I guess 107 proof, 53 point something percent alcohol. So you want to be careful. You want to be good.
What's it called?
Pinhook,
Isn't it?
war
It's always
60 or
oh,
war bourbon or whatever.
war bourbon. Okay,
Yeah,
because they're pinhooks always named after horses, correct?
correct. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And the horse that they actually race. So that's what this is. And I've got about a half bottle left. I was going to get Weller 107, but old Johnny Boy and I are supposed to do some sort of. Oh, that's right. I could have drank the Weller 107 because you're bringing the Weller 107. I'm bringing
Yeah,
the other stuff.
12
12
year.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, that's what I'm drinking. And I haven't been drinking that much bourbon, guys. I haven't been drinking very much alcohol. And I'll tell
Wow.
you why. This is my what's been going on with me. I have been working for the past couple months on a fun, just new side hustle thing called Burn, and it's a cigar and smoked old fashioned, like little mobile bar. And I had my first event yesterday, and it went awesome. I almost sold out of cigars. I had 140 sticks, and I almost sold out. So that was pretty cool. But I kind of feel like I can't smoke a cigar and drink bourbon every day. So I've just been smoking the cigar.
Wow.
How many
That's
vices
awesome,
do you
man.
have? You gotta kind of break them up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Cheers.
Unless it's a party, you know.
Cheers to you.
Thank you.
Eric,
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Eric, what you drinking? And how's by you?
All things are good. I'm drinking a New Riff New Riff bourbon, 100 proof.
It's good.
Um, I've been drinking bourbon probably not as much as the winter time. I think part of that is summertime. There's other activities going on. You know, not just sitting in my basement drinking bourbon, but still enjoying a nice pour. I don't smoke cigars, so because I don't smoke cigars, I leave more room. I have extra room for the flavors
There
of
you go.
the charred oak barrels. So just enjoying it where I can.
There you go.
So
Yeah, I
life's
mean,
good.
summer is definitely more of like a beer feel. It seems like outdoor. It's something weird about like being hot and humid, and then just like drinking out of a highball glass. You know,
I mean,
you're
it's
like,
fine,
Right.
right? But there's days where it's like
milk
that
was
doesn't
a
sound like
bad
it gets you.
choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Milk
Like,
was a bad choice.
like you're drinking a really like warm liquor, like
Yeah,
something that packs a punch. Like during the summer, you want to drink like a mojito or something,
yeah,
or
uh,
margarita.
or a Corona with lime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So,
all
yeah,
good.
cool.
All good.
But
Yeah.
what
We're
else? What else you got going on though? That's just bourbony. What else you got?
yeah, in the thick of baseball season, 6-year-old baseball season,
Mm,
and been co-coaching that, helping out. So that's been fun. My son loves it. And he hustles, and not every kid hustles. Not every kid even knows what that term means. So I appreciate that I have a kid that seems to understand intuitively what hustle means. Makes it more fun. So we've been enjoying the baseball, which can be tough at 6 years old, but we're having fun with it. And so that's all good. And he did a gymnastics thing tonight. The man just loves to be on the move. So we've been keeping busy with that. And end of school this week. And that's leading right into weekend activities. This next weekend is the Indianapolis 500-mile race in Speedway, Indiana. And that's like Christmas Day in my household. So super pumped for that. So it's a good week.
Are you going?
I'll be there.
Nice.
Yeah, you've got a streak, don't you? You like.
I've been there most of the last 30 years, with just a couple of years as exceptions. So yeah, over 30 years. Not every year, just a couple misses though.
You've got like a 27 out of 30 year streak. I think you missed for 9/11.
Yeah. 9/11, COVID, and like one other one-off year, right? So it's like I'm at like 95%. So
yeah.
So meeting up with some old friends there, having some good times. You know, it's biggest sporting event in the world. So one-day sporting event. So super pumped.
Adults only, or you bringing the kids?
Adults and my 9-year-old daughter, and then my buddy's 7-year-old son will be joining. So it's intergenerational, inter. I'm not sure which term to use there.
and you have seats.
Keep your eyes on those two.
You're not rocking the infield.
No, we have seats. For any listeners familiar with Vantage Points, we are in the South Vista on the south end of the track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
But and do all the rich people, they watch from the pagoda?
Yeah, richer people, pagoda, penthouse, East End, turn one. Yeah, the stuff that you just can't find a ticket, that's all sold out, years in advance. Yeah, you got it, man. You know your stuff for being a one-time attendee. What was that, 2012?
Yeah, I think it was the year Sato blew out turn 3.
Turn 1. Oh yeah, turn 1. Yeah.
No, I thought it was at the end.
Oh, it was the last lap.
Yeah, it was the last lap.
Is that Sato Hussein?
No. Takuma Sato.
Oh.
Japanese,
yeah. And then Dario Franchitti won.
Yes, that's correct.
I remember that because they showed
these names before.
They showed Ashley Judd running out onto the yard of bricks.
Dario Franchitti, a Scottish race car driver, won the Indianapolis 500 3 times, and he retired the year after that after a severe accident, broke his back, and then he also divorced Ashley Judd and upgraded.
Hey, good for him. Good for him.
He also he drove for Target.
Target Ganassi, you got it. Yep. Good memory.
Target. Yep.
So, anyways,
that's not F1.
Good week here. It's not, but it's still a lot of fun, right? You can enjoy various forms of motorsports,
and it's better than NASCAR.
Just F1.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am drinking Willett Straight Rye whiskey, 56.5%. It's handcrafted in Kentucky according to the bottle, so that's always good. It's actually quite delicious. And then what's going on with me? So 2 weeks ago, I took my oldest son, just he and I, to Orlando for Star Wars Day on May 4th. And so we were at Star Wars Land, just he and I. Yeah, it was something. It was insane. But the reason I bring that up is because I got a Tesla as my rental car that weekend. And I remember we did see a Cybertruck, and there's a picture of me in front of it looking like, look at this piece of, you know what? It looked like it jumped out of an N64, like blocky and pixely, like Star Fox drove it or something.
It's so dumb.
It is. It's awful. But I got to drive it for the first time, and like we left really early. Like our flight left St. Louis at 5:30 in the morning, and we landed at in Orlando at like 9 o'clock. And so we're starving, right? And I managed to somehow drive us to Chick-fil-A right outside the airport, and I had to sit in a spot for 5 minutes learning how to do everything in the car because it's completely different. Um, but I'll tell you what, man, those are cool. Like you can tell it's a car built by a tech company, not a car company.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then I just got back from DC last week for work, and I got a Polestar electric vehicle, and so I got to drive that thing around. It was cool, but not as cool as the Tesla. So like this is my EV kick. So like anytime I rent a car now, I'm going to try and get an EV just to see what it's like.
You get a Rivian next time.
Yeah,
For the Rivian.
I would like a Rivian. Actually, I was like at Hertz or whatever, they say, take whatever's in aisle one or whatever. And I was about to pick the Volvo electric car, uh, and some dude like jumped in front of me and took it. And so I was like pissed off, like, oh, I really wanted to try that. So I go back to her, I go, hey, are there any EVs? And she's like, I think we got a couple that are in the car wash right now if you want to wait. I said, sure, what the heck? And as I said that, the Polestar like drives up. She's like, you can take that if you want. I go, sure. So it's kind of cool.
Who makes that?
Polestar is the company.
That's the name of the company?
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with it. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, it sounds like a stripper-owned company.
Yes. And now coming to the stage, it's Polestar.
They make the best phones in the industry, though. Indestructible. Yeah.
Yes.
They can even take care of the fuller figured people out there.
She's a real Polestar.
But like it's crazy just how much get up and go they have. It really is. It's like a golf cart.
Well, they have 4 motors. Like they completely destroy the earth to get them, but they have 4 motors, and each tire has a motor.
Yeah. There's no transmission.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
at least 10 children from Africa have to die digging up the cobalt from 300 feet underground. But it doesn't give off any emissions after that, right?
Just lithium. But yeah, that was fun. Okay.
Space dust.
All right, boys.
Yeah, that good beer.
It's time to jump into the topics of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with the topic that we left off from our last podcast episode in the lost files, literally because we can't find the file. But
our one fan, by the way, shout out to Chris Z from local financial firm, we'll call it Edward J, for supporting us.
Don't say the name. Don't say the name until they give us money.
He didn't.
Sponsors.
He was skirting around.
He should have said EJ. He should have said EJ, and because he gave too much away.
Rookie move, lesson learned.
Yeah, it's Eduardo Jesus.
Eduardo Jones. Okay, so we ended last podcast just talking about the state of our nation and what is going on with this thing called the U.S. experiment. So I don't know. Has anything happened in the U.S. over the last 2 months?
I'm pretty sure stuff happened.
Stuff that makes us feel more secure about our democracy or less secure?
I haven't never felt more secure. I've never felt secure, except for when I was a child and I didn't know any better, and my mom was just feeding me and paying the rent and all that stuff.
You're saying you really see it as nothing's ever promised, right?
I don't feel like
it's all tenuous to an extent, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always been tension.
Yeah.
And there has been 2 sides of an argument or a belief system, but it seems like pre-internet we were able to watch the news, find out what they're arguing about in Congress or in whatever, and then kind of make our own decisions and not hate our neighbor. And that's now changed significantly. And I think it has a lot to do with the internet and being like a keyboard warrior where you can say whatever you want because no one's going to punch you in the mouth. So
Yeah, I
Well,
think if you reflect back like a generation or two ago, right? You know, Cold War and stuff, and like times of the history of our country where things were like on the brink, right? But at the same time, you know that, but then it wasn't being like talked about on the internet 24 hours a day, you
it
know?
wasn't in your real life. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was this obscure thing. And with the internet, we actually have connections with people that are closer to things that are going on, right? And I think that's really interesting. Like whether it's true or not, maybe they don't actually have those connections, but they jump on and say, "Well, I know for a fact this and that." And it's just been really interesting on this topic. Like I have a TikTok thing, you know, like an app, and there was recently a woman murdered. It was a pastor's wife who, or they didn't know if she was murdered or if she took her own life. And it's just so interesting now how all these people are doing green screen and then like reporting in quotes on this what's going on with this woman, and you're like, we all have the same information. I don't understand why you're jumping on here now and acting like you have breaking information because your name's, you know, Ron from Nebraska. You know, we all have TikTok, bro. And I mean, maybe you're doing a little more deep dive than the rest of us, but it's just so interesting how like people listen to each other now. They don't listen to Walter Cronkite. We listen to each other, and then we get into these sound loops where people just say the things we want to hear, and we're only friends with those kind of people. And then I don't know. It's just strange.
so that's a thing that has I've actually read articles about that kind of topic, especially since COVID, about like the weakening of experts,
Mm,
um, and how everyone is uh, everyone and no one is an expert.
hmm
Where because of social media, you can go on and it's almost like popularity is as strong as scientific rigor.
mm,
Like if what you're saying is popular, it becomes true regardless of the empirical facts or evidence behind it, right?
hmm
I think I've heard people call them feel facts, where it feels like a fact, and so it is to me. And like that's the difference between truth and fact. Truth is belief, and fact is you know proved. But yeah, like I mean, so we're experts in different fields, all three of us. And like if someone comes to me who doesn't have the education or experience or whatever and tells me what I'm doing is BS, like I'm not going to pay attention to them. Uh, but yet, when it's things like politics or something like that, we definitely do. We don't listen to the experts anymore because we think we're smarter than them, or we think they have an agenda against us, or there's a lot of conspiratorial thinking.
hmm
That's something that's different, or at least the conspiratorial thinking is getting more mainstream attention, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah. Go ahead, Dustin.
no. Go ahead. I didn't really have anything to say. I just didn't want there to be a lull in the conversation. I was just
I
going to
know
start
I
waxing poetic.
I killed you guys with my knowledge.
You did.
Yeah,
Mic drop.
it's like when some armchair quarterback pretends they're some expert in the like Israeli Palestinian conflict and background, and it's like, let's be honest, who really knows? You know, who's really an expert in that field? You know,
Yeah,
the vast majority of people don't have half a clue the history there, right? And I'm not going
right.
to pretend to know all of it either, right? But yeah, don't pipe in like you're an expert there.
So I listened to a podcast called Knowledge Fight. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's basically a play off of InfoWars, which is
Lovely.
Alex Jones's podcast.
Wasn't he put out of business?
I think he's still hanging around, but yeah, there's a lot of judgments against him for lots and lots of money. But anyway,
Yeah.
this Knowledge Fight podcast basically listens to his show and rips apart what he says, like segment by segment. And I love it because I just love listening to people who think they're so right. And then someone come in and be like, he's completely wrong. And here's how he's completely wrong.
But yeah, kind of from a matter of fact basis.
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't make any bones about not liking him. They do not like him, but yeah.
Well, he's a blowhard,
Somebody-
but
Yeah.
it's like this thing where it's like, if I say it with enough conviction and passion
Yes.
and enough spittle comes out of my mouth, then
Right.
you're gonna believe what I have to say. If I'm angry enough about it, if my head turns red enough,
Yeah.
when I'm screaming at the camera,
And if I keep saying that it's true, right?
right?
If I keep saying it's true over and over, what did George Costanza say? It's not a lie if you believe it.
If you believe it, yeah. Great wisdom there from the one and only George Louis Costanza of Queens, New York.
Is that
Pretty
really
sure.
his middle name is Lewis?
Yeah, GLC.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
his GLC was in the arcade game, the Frogger machine, for his record on Frogger.
That's right.
Back
That's
in
right.
Eighth
That's right.
grade or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
Man,
that.
you guys remember the most. I don't even know how you keep it in your head, like all of the
Well-
mundane things you guys remember.
When
Well,
they were
that's-
adults and the pizza parlor was closing, they hired Slippery Pete and Shlomo to move the Frogger machine while keeping it powered up so that the score
Right.
lost.
So he wouldn't lose the high score. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I have a section of my brain that is protected with all of this useless knowledge that that when alcohol or whatever goes and tries to kill brain cells, somehow that stays protected.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a protective membrane around that section.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can't remember that important thing at work this morning.
Nope.
I'll follow
Yeah.
up on tomorrow.
I know.
So drop the
Yeah.
ball on that. Yeah.
Exactly. Or like I forget that's probably my ADD, but I forget. I go to one system and then I go back to the other and I forgot what I was doing on there. I'm like, I was signing timesheets. I forgot to do that.
Well,
Ugh.
I feel like that topic we could go on, and maybe even a
Yeah.
topic that could be brought up from time to time in the future to discuss kind of what's recent in the news, and yeah.
And especially as we get closer to the election, man, like that's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, evergreen topic there.
No, Jack, come on, please.
We got a guest star?
Guess Jedi.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah, my lightsaber came in today.
Far out.
Not the lightsaber from Chappelle's show.
I wish I could be excited about it.
Thank God. Thank God.
So Dustin, that was your topic from a couple months ago. What's your new one?
Yeah, I do. I like to drop knowledge bombs, that's what I do. Yeah, okay. So here's my new one. And stick with me here, okay?
Okay.
So I watched this 3-part special that Netflix just dropped about a website that came out back in the day called Ashley Madison. Are you guys familiar with this? Just
So
both
that's a
pretend
dating
like you
website.
don't know what it is. What?
Is it a dating website?
Yeah.
Well, it's an affair website. So
Yeah, it's
there-
for
yeah,
infidelity.
That rings a bell from that when it was in the
Yeah.
news.
yes, of course.
'Cause-
Now I
'cause-
know what you're talking about.
Right, because someone hacked him.
Don't have an account.
Can I tell the story, John, or are you going to tell the
Oh.
story?
Well, you were taking
This
too
is-
long.
This is my topic, pal.
Taking too long.
Okay, so yeah, so basically Netflix just dropped this 3-part series. I think it's 3 parts on it, and it basically does a run through of what Ashley Madison was, and then yes, they were hacked, and
Oh, that's right.
the hacker was offered. The hacker, said, we want you to shut down the website, and they had 37 million subscribers at the time, and they were like, "We're not shutting the website down. We'll pay you." And so they had a face-to-face, like with they had like, I think it was I don't know if it was face-to-face with the real guy or like a few layers removed so he didn't get caught. And they offered him like enough to pay off his mortgage, and he turned it down. Later, they offered him $500,000. And this is a spoiler if you've not seen it, but this, it's been around since 2007. So maybe read a book every once in a while. And what ended up happening was the guy said, like, shut it down. And they said no. They offered him money. And they said, well, we're going to release everybody's credit card information, their names, their home addresses, fully dox them. And what ended up coming out of that was, celebrities and politicians and lots of everymans, I'm assuming. There was also some other things that came out, though, that I thought was interesting. One of those things, when I had heard about this website initially, I was just kind of blown away by this idea that there's that many women that want to do this. Like, I just couldn't get my mind around that, because from my experience, I don't know if this is, YouTube Playboys, but in my world, I'm not like, girls aren't just like winking at me all the time and blowing me kisses, So I thought there's no way, man, that this is real. Like, and then come to find out it wasn't. Like, they had all these bots. A lot of the accounts that were female weren't actually real. And so, they were basically just like scamming these dudes. But there's a whole bunch of things I could talk about. Like, one was like this popular Christian blogger couple that's in the documentary, and the fact that they, that the husband was goofing around and being a punk. And but really, what I was thinking about, what struck me so, I don't know, odd, I guess, is that, like, and we're dealing with it with P. Diddy and with like other like celebrities, is this idea that you're going to give somebody on the internet your phone number, your email address, your credit card number, and your name and a profile picture, and think this is secure. Like, there's no way I'm going to get, this, how could this end badly for me? Right.
Yeah.
And obviously it did, but same thing with P. Diddy and all his cameras and these parties allegedly that he throws, collecting really blackmail material. So they had 37 million subscribers. That's a lot of blackmail potential, right? And I guess what I wanted just to talk to you guys about was like what is it? Is there something that somebody could give you, be it a physical item, an adventure, a house, like whatever it was, and that you would blow up your whole life for? I mean, we think no, right? But
Well,
that's what these
right.
guys are doing.
But yeah, I think I think looking at it from that perspective, it's when you put it that way, it's extremely rational to say
Mm-hmm.
these guys are insane. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are they doing? But I guess, like, it's like, I'm not comparing this to it, but I'm using the same kind of logic. Like, what drives someone to commit suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Like something that extreme, and there are times where people have left notes that say, um, the world is better without me in it, or there's just too much pain, I can't handle it
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Um, for me, I'm wondering if it's just easier to either do this and maybe get caught and then have to deal with what they've wanted for a while now, to get out of what they were doing,
Yeah,
get
potentially.
out of the life that they were in, or um, they're just like thrill seekers.
Well, then, the website made a lot of claims about privacy and stuff, and anonymity and all that, but also I think it was unique in the sense that the idea behind the website was that you love your spouse, that you do want to stay married, you don't want there's something missing probably in the bedroom. And that, we all know that happens. I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for you guys, but like I've been married 23 years, and it just changes, right? There's significantly less passion because you're just tired all the time, and you're trying to raise kids and pay the rent or the mortgage and the insurance and all that stuff. And that happens. I think that's men, especially, we lose our testosterone as we get older, and I'm the oldest one, so I can promise you it happens. So I get it. I mean, I get the idea that like it's something exciting and new, but I just don't like, if you sat down for long enough and just rationalized, you'd go, I probably won't do this. Because there's a lot of steps to it. It's not just like you looked at a chick at the grocery store and then your brain wandered. It's
Yeah.
I got to get my credit card out of my wallet.
I've also seen articles that have said that, like, because of the divorce rate these days and how marriages are not as successful, I guess, as they were 50 years ago, that younger couples are starting to look at non-traditional arrangements when it comes to marriage, like, like open marriages and polyamory and stuff like that. And I don't know if there's any evidence or data that supports it, but those millennials try anything.
It's a lot, Obama.
It's like Jerry Seinfeld, when given that opportunity to have a menage a trois, really thought about it and said, I can't do this. I'm not an orgy guy. I'd have to grow a mustache and get a bunch of lotions and redecorate my house. I
wear
can't do that.
robes.
It's too much work,
Yeah.
Have you seen Jerry Seinfeld? There's no chance outside of the money.
Well, I'm just talking about that episode of the show, but it's the same thing. It's like, no, that's too much work, and you're going to blow it all up for what, right? Like, I think that's like the rational way to look at it, and I think there's way too much in our culture that's about the easy fix and the quick fix and the, snap your fingers and have it, this exact second, right? Without, putting in the work or without getting through the hard times, not the hard times, but just sometimes the hard times are just the day-to-day mundaneness, right? Of what it takes to exist in that. And I think a lot of the culture just says, no, that's not worth it, right? And sometimes that's part of what you sign up for, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think so. But it's also the thing where, like, if you can go try the other thing, if the grass is greener and you go over there, it's not. It looks greener from the angle that you're standing, probably. Right. Then you go over there and you're like, this is the exact same green as I already had. And then it's like kind of already done and maybe ruined. And I mean, I've made mistakes in my life, not Ashley Madison mistakes, but I've made mistakes and thought something was greener over there. And then it turned out not to be. And I only had to get my face smacked, with that kind of reality 37 or 40 times before I realized I'm not doing this anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people do it after once or twice, but I'm a slow learner.
That's a good point about the grass being greener. I think that's true in a lot of different phases of life. And there might be certain areas where it is, right? But oftentimes it's not. I would say the majority of the time.
Right. And then it's like you said, it's only when people go over there and see that it's not greener that they appreciate what they have. And hopefully they still have that, and they haven't blown it up, like you said. So did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched it all. And the one, like, and this is a spoiler alert if you're watching it, the one thing that was really kind of nice and heartwarming was that Christian couple, the Christian blogger family that were, I guess, pretty famous. I'd never heard of them, but like on YouTube, he had first lied and said that he had just signed up and he'd only talked to people on the computer. And then later, it was weighing on him and he told the truth, but he was very vulnerable in the interviews and you could tell he was very uncomfortable, but he was being vulnerable. And he kept talking about like redemption and our faith, and what was real cool was at the end, they stayed together. and she forgave him. And you know, he came clean and told, not that he's not some hero for doing that, but he came clean and told everything. And really, like, they went and met with their pastor and sat down, and like it was a true, honest, it was a revelation for him about what he had. The grass is greener. You know, he thought it was. And I mean, his wife is adorable and funny and, you know, great. And they have kids, and like, don't blow that up. And he really saw that was a faux pas, a big mistake. And it was cool to see her forgive him, because a lot of times, you know, even in our faith that preaches this thing,
right.
it doesn't come to pass, but it did in this situation. And it, like, I usually am very critical of Christians on TV and stuff, just because I'm just like, ugh, they're either being arrogant or whatever. And I'm just like, usually I'm pretty judgmental, which is also not a good Christian trait. But you know, with this one, you know, I really felt like he was sincere, and I really felt like she was sincere, and they really do love each other. And it did. I mean, he definitely screwed up, and he was really tore up about it. You could tell, even this many years later, like talking about it. So even, unless he's a great actor, but I mean, why would he stick with her if he was? And he's, you know, he's handsome and young looking and fit, so he could. It's not like he couldn't have another life sometime.
And that's the thing, is like, this guy was dedicated to her and the family, and yet did it. And
right.
You know, there's something in the brain, I guess, that.
Yeah. Well, he talks about it. He talks about like what, you know, that you know, things got less exciting, and that's what happens to literally everybody in every relationship.
Yeah.
You can't have full on butterfly passion
Right.
like you did when you first started going out or whatever,
right.
or get married and all that stuff. I mean, shoot, I mean, our honeymoon was insane, and that was a long time ago, and it just changes, and that's okay. It's okay that it changes. The love changes. It morphs into something different and actually pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just an interesting show, and I was just kind of still dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded at the fact that people think that their stuff is secure online, which it absolutely never is. John, you can talk about that better than anybody. And then
it's one thing to get hacked when you're just going about your regular business. It's another thing when you're trying to hide you know, pretty questionable things, right?
Yeah, infidelity.
And our Facebooks, you know, all of our Facebooks get hacked every 3 days. So it's like, that's a pretty big company that's got pretty good.
Yeah, right.
My Facebook got hacked, and I just never went back on it. That's how I parted ways with it. It was like, thank you, Zuck, for having poor security.
There's an Eric D out there just like living your life.
There's a profile out there, but it hasn't been touched or added to in 3 years, so you can check it out.
Hey, sounds like my love life.
Hacked is a code word, apparently. Haven't been hacked in a while.
Well, or touched in 3 years.
Yeah, I think I've been on a pretty good run lately. I'm gonna knock on wood there.
What's that website called? AshleyMadison.com? Let me see. Just kidding. All right.
You know that's someone's name out there. You know that's some lady's name.
Well, you know how they named it? They said that it was the 2 most popular. Well, this is gross. The 2 most popular baby names that year.
Ugh, that is gross.
So why would you? That
Ugh.
I mean,
Blah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
Ugh.
I don't like it either. I don't like anything about it. I did like the tagline. I thought that was clever. The first tagline was, I don't remember.
YOLO.
Yeah. I can't remember. So,
all right.
This is a boring part of the podcast. Eric.
So well, Eric, what do you got?
Now, chime in real quick. We got time. We're good. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, since you brought up a Netflix documentary, I was gonna talk about the Netflix documentary that I just watched.
Which is?
The one about 4chan.
Oh, that's older, right?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like 2020.
It's about Anonymous, 4chan turned into Anonymous, and then Anonymous turned into like 8chan, and the birth of like far right social media.
Is it the one where they go find the guy in the pig farm?
No. It ends with January 6th.
Oh, so no, it is newer. Okay. So the one I saw was like how it started, and then how 4chan was owned by one guy, and there's a guy in a wheelchair that bought it. and then
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and then the
Those
guy that
guys are in it.
originally okay, yeah, the
Those
guy that
guys are in it.
originally bought it apparently has like a pig farm in Indonesia, and there's all this rumors that the reason he has that is because they eat humans.
Yeah, you
He
don't
takes
trust
down.
anyone who owns a pig farm.
That's what I hear.
Kind of like the guy in Hannibal that got eaten by the pigs, his own pigs.
Mason Verger.
Yeah.
I have bacon in the
he-
freezer, but that's
He
it.
kind of got what was coming to him, though.
If you are listening to this podcast and you own a pig farm and don't murder people, please leave a comment in the comments so we can reach out to you and talk to you about that.
And if you do let your pigs eat murdered people, leave us a comment too. Give us your address. You just never know.
Yeah.
You know? And that might come in
We'll
handy.
wrap with you too. We'll wrap with you too. Yeah.
It might come in handy.
So yeah, so it was interesting. I mean, it was just like it started out as these people sharing memes, who were like idiot teenagers on the internet, just having fun and being really ridiculous, right? And then kind of they were using their skills for good with so Occupy Wall Street was an anonymous thing, and a whole bunch of these whatever, and then it started getting real, kind of took the turn towards racism and pro-Nazi
Are we talking
stuff.
about anonymous, or are we talking about 4chan?
They're all kind of connected.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the people who were the leaders of 4chan eventually kind of branched off and started anonymous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they started talking about how QAnon got birthed off of that.
Yeah.
Which is just insanity in and of itself. So that's all I was going to talk about. Eric, what do you got?
Yeah, so we'll lighten this up, and we won't spend too much time on this. But over the last month, we were talking about this the other night. I've the NHL hockey playoffs started a month ago, and that's basically all I've watched on television. I think it's the reason I have cable is to watch playoff hockey. I can watch any team play. And my kids watch with me, and my wife watches some. But it came to the point that she's like, "Seriously, you're going to watch another hockey game?" And I'm like, I mean, you're welcome to change the channel or pick a show, but there's never any other idea there, right? So I just keep watching it, right? And so I think my question is, how much is too much when it comes to sports? And are sports a positive in our culture? And I would venture to say yes. I think it's a good distraction from the crazy sometimes. It's fun, it's competitive, it's exciting, and it doesn't. There's politics that can come with sports, right? I get that, right? But I think sometimes it's a distraction from the crazy that swirls around us, and it can just be fun sometimes too. So I really lean into it this time of year too. I know a couple of my other friends are really big basketball fans. It's not my number one, but I can certainly understand that. It's racing season, Formula One. I just mentioned the Indy 500 on that side of it, right? I know NASCAR's in full swing for NASCAR type folks. There's been horse racing season, right? There's just a lot going on. So yeah, that's my thought is hey, is there ever too much there? And I would say that to kind of reflect back to COVID. Remember COVID when either things were canceled or they were doing the biggest sporting events in the world with no fans? You know what I realized during that time? Sports without fans sucks. And
yes,
I would rather not watch it, and that's what I'm doing. I just didn't watch baseball, hockey, you name a sport with no fans. Why?
Can I cut in here?
Yeah.
I love the UFC. I watch fights almost every Saturday, and unless it's like a UFC, I don't even know what they're called, but when they have a number with them, 301, 302.
Event, one of their big ones.
Yeah, where they have a full stadium and pay-per-view and all that. When they don't, they do it in Vegas, and there's very few people in the room, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have the feeling of the fans.
Yeah, and they're cutting to the B-roll of the fans, and the fans are, usually some other fighters and stuff. They're getting into it, but I mean, it's so weird to me because I feel like they could sell out those maybe they don't have any seats. I don't know. anyway, that's neither here than there. But I think you're right. Having the energy of the fans, it'd be like going to a concert, and which I did during COVID. I watched a number of concerts I paid for and watched, and there was no one there, and it was weird. And I watched soccer during COVID, and that was weird.
Have you guys, tangent real quick, have you ever heard of silent raves?
Yes.
Nope.
Were they
So
wearing
I like it
headphones?
though.
yeah, it's like a rave dance party, but everyone is wearing Bluetooth headphones and they're playing the music. The DJ's playing the music and it's streaming to everyone's headphones and they're all dancing. And so if you take your headphones off, you'll just see people like this and it's silent.
And they
Or it
film
sounds
it. They film it without the audio, and you just
yeah,
watch the people dance. It's weird.
And
or it
it's
sounds like
cool.
a basketball game where it's just like the sound of feet on like hardwood. Like,
So this sounds awful. That sounds awful. And so I think I'm kind of tying this together. I threw that out there as a thought, right? But I think the ultimate I think where this is pointing is whether it's sports, whether it's a concert, it's music, it's the arts, um, whether it's any other aspect of your life, without the communal experience in some shape or form, what's the point?
yep.
Maybe that's what I was getting at, right? Um, yeah, it's like doing a rave via Zoom and a Bluetooth. Forget about it. It's like church service via Zoom ain't the same thing as going to a real thing. It's like
Yeah.
if you never interact with your coworkers face to face, which I did today, and I'm exhausted, but I had a ton of great conversations and great face to face interaction. Right? It's just not the same on a
Yep.
computer or living it by yourself. Right? So I think maybe that's the comment here. The observation is that life is better with shared passions.
I just so like I said, I just got back from DC last week where I spent time with um, my new senior analyst and like we spent a good hour, maybe hour and a half every morning before I had to start going to meetings and stuff. And those 2 to 3 hours that we spent together were like huge. It's, you know, they're they're bonding times, relationship building times that it's just so much more potent than when you're doing it over a phone or a video conference or something like that, right? It's like you can see their body language, you can see how they're reacting towards you and the tone and the inflection. Yeah, I completely agree.
It's
Well,
emotion. It's real emotion. Yeah, I get it. Go ahead,
and your
Dustin.
and your initial question though was, is there too much? Like, is there like how much
Yeah,
is too much? And I
yeah,
would say like if people, I do think that there can be too much of a good thing. I think if people, it doesn't matter what it is in this situation in sports, but if you wrap your entire identity around something, especially if you're not on the team, I mean, if it's just something that you love, it doesn't matter what it is. You start collecting, maybe you have autographs and you have your whole wardrobe is the St. Louis Blues, and it's all you can talk about with your friends because you're not well rounded anymore. I think then it's a problem.
yep.
Yeah,
In all things, moderation
I agree.
to include bourbon.
Yeah, if the only thing you drink, you might be in the hurt locker.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
might
you
be a
should
little
have a glass of
dehydrated,
water every once in a while. That'd be good.
a little hungover.
Yeah,
Uh,
and orange juice.
yeah. Hey, by the way, at my
Fellas, yeah.
work today, they put in these really fancy like $5,000 coffee machines. They're like these like Keurigs on steroids that can
Mhm.
make you like any type of coffee drink you ever want. And I just had to plug that and mention that because of Skinny D. Dustin here is a pretty
Yeah,
big coffee guy.
Is it,
I
it's,
enjoy coffee.
it's not a Verismo. What is it? What's that? What's the really expensive one? The auto machine that makes all of them?
It
I
is.
don't know.
You can hold that thought.
Well, so my work just put in a brand new, oh, it is a Keurig. Okay.
Yeah.
My work just put in a brand new commercial ice maker. And we were really excited because we thought we were going to get either flake ice or maybe nugget ice.
Yeah.
And that thing had been in like cycles to clean the water lines and get ready and stuff. And so it opened today. And wouldn't you know it, it's the biggest, grossest cube ice you've ever seen. It's
Was it gross?
it's the worst.
Oh.
It's worse than the ice that they used to have.
It's like a
It's
Motel
like-
6 machine.
Yes. They upgraded us and we lost so much.
You got to get in there and like fill up your coolers before tailgate events
yeah.
and things like that.
R.I.P. Cool Ice at your job.
We were
Yeah.
so excited. We were like, "Oh man, flake ice or nugget
Sonic.
or maybe even crushed pellet ice." Nope.
Well, you know,
Big ass 1.5-inch cubes. They're too big. They're not big enough to be cool like in a cocktail,
oh,
but they're not small enough to be good in like a soda, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
that
you can't even get it
in-between.
into like
Yes.
the bottle.
It's
too
that
big.
in between where it's awful. It's the worst. Probably because it was the cheapest. And that's what we do. We buy the cheapest.
Got it.
Oh God.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare
Picture
you?
like
Provide us
hotel
with frozen water.
All right, fellas.
You sir, do not give me frozen water that does not meet my standards.
All right. I'm going to call closing, and I want everyone to close with their thought of what's your parting shot. Okay.
Dang.
So I'll go first.
Yeah.
I want you guys to keep reaching for the stars, but keep your feet on the ground.
All right, here's mine. Smoke them if you got them. BurnSTL.com.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. When I hear that phrase, it makes me think of Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm.
After he gets out of ludicrous speed and he rams into the front of the ship and he's standing there all wobbly and he's like, have we stopped now? Like, yes, sir, we've stopped. He's like, okay, how about we take 5? Smoke him if you got him. And then he just falls straight down. Oh, I love Spaceballs. Okay, Eric, take us home.
As it relates to your ice situation, sometimes you eat the bar, and well, sometimes the bar will eat you, man.
Cheers, man. Cheers, boys.
All right.
Have a good night, and till next time here on the Bourbs. We'll catch you later.
See ya.